All right, what's up, everybody? We're live. Nelson here, aka Amish Country Met fan, joined by my boy Chris from the What's the Static podcast, here to recap the shit show we just saw. Mets lose 8-5. As always, they try to pull their bullshit where they make you think that they gotta come back in them, but it's never quite
The
the
fake
case.
comeback. It was a fake
Yeah,
comeback.
the fake comeback. They like to do that. Usually they'll get it to within a run. Um, what's up, Matt? And those Mets are no bueno. Yep. And our boy, the Nuggies, our Denver
Man,
correspondent
Josh.
in the building.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but yeah, I'll say my piece real quick. I mean, listen, I was thinking about it watching this game because it's not like the game itself was all that entertaining. And I'm just watching thinking, all right, I've tried to convince myself that this team isn't actually this bad, that they're going to turn it around. But the later we get and the more I see, I'm starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, maybe they are actually bad. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, so the pitching makes some sense why they suck. Like, we relied on two older guys, two 40-year-olds. They've had health issues. Okay, so you could kind of see that coming. The other guys we were relying on Quintana, another one, health issues. Carrasco's old. McGill and Peterson really, I mean, they showed glimpses, but they've never been that good. So you could kind of see where if things didn't go right, our pitching would be an issue. So that makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me, and what I was racking my brain around, why is this offense so bad? I don't get it. It doesn't. Most of these guys have a solid track record. Most of these guys have proven major league hitters. And they even showed this year on that West Coast swing. They were cooking. And then they just stopped and they haven't hit since. I mean, Nemo's probably been the most consistent hitter, but even he's slumping a bit. It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand how the offense just completely disappeared and fell off the face of the earth. I'm just flabbergasted by it, to be honest. It doesn't. I can't. I know we have a new hitting coach, but that shouldn't make that much of a difference. Eric Chavez is still in the dugout. I don't know. It
It's not the
doesn't.
hitting coach's fault. It's not the hitting coach's
Yeah,
fault.
no. But it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It's just weird how they could just forget how to hit all at the same time. Like, it's really confusing. And I don't really think that there's anything that's going to fix it. Like I've said, call up the kids just because why the hell not? But I don't know. Are Mauricio and Vientos really going to make that much of a difference if the rest of these guys suck? Like, I don't know that they are. Maybe they will. I'd still rather try it than not try anything at all. That's where I'm at with it. I just don't know that they will. As for the game today, listen, Verlander didn't have it. The Rays are literally like the best team in baseball in almost every offensive category there is. This team just rakes. They're the opposite of us in every way possible. Their power is insane. Everything. They just do it all. So for Verlander to have a bad game against the Rays, I'm not going to harp on it too much. I mean, obviously you wish you were better, but I don't think it's a sign of things to come. But I mean, we gotta. I don't know what if we can't beat the bad teams, we can't beat the good teams. Who the hell are we gonna beat? I mean, we can't. The Rays threw this guy out there with a 5 ERA. We didn't do shit against him in the couple innings that he threw. We tacked on some runs late, but I mean, it's a joke. Like the whole thing's a joke. And Drew Smith, do me a favor. The Mets need to stop inviting SI models to Citi Field. Because every time they invite an SI model to Citi Field, he gets all googly eyed and he forgets how to pitch. Like, what the hell is his problem? The
I
guy,
did see that.
I mean, we're going to lose anyway, but what the hell is he doing? Jesus Christ. Fucking worry about getting laid on your own time, bro. Like, this it's ridiculous. But yeah, that's what I got. You go ahead, give us your take on what you saw tonight.
Where do I begin, man? I mean, we got some comments down here from Matt and Jesse. Shout out Jesse for joining us as well. Matt threw up some comments here as well. Verlander, he says, If you want to toss those on there, we can address them real quick.
Verlander didn't have it. The offense was non-existent.
Yep.
True.
Home runs were
Those
nice,
were
but you got to
nice.
find ways to get on base. I agree.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
nice to see. I mean, we got 3 homers after 56 innings of nothing, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
And then Verlander, yeah, Verlander is not a concern of mine. But
so
yeah.
I mean, Nelson, man, where like realistically, where do I begin? Because I threw out a couple of videos today, and I'm not ready like you are to just give up on this team. Just statistically being, I don't know if the Braves or I don't know who in the wild card's winning right now at this very moment while we're speaking. But coming into today, we're a half game out of the wild card. The division is 6.5, which isn't bad. I know the optics, are not where Mets fans want them to be right now. But one thing is for certain, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, is that the Mets are playing horrible baseball right now. That is like undeniable. You can talk to the most positive Mets fans on Twitter. And obviously, if you all don't know, there's a positive and there's a negative side of Mets Twitter. I've experienced both. And you can go talk to the most positive Mets fan on Twitter, and not even anything that they tell you can convince at least me, I'm not sure about you, that this team is playing any sort of good baseball right now. I threw it out on my last video as well, the pregame live before the last game, the Nationals game yesterday. I said consistency is the problem. And like you just mentioned, in your sort of spiel there, is that once one guy gets out of a slump, the next guy enters it. And there's no consistency across the board of this lineup. None. The starting pitching has been horrendous. I'm not going to get on Justin Verlander, but what I will say is that a veteran pitcher should not be walking 2 batters in an inning to set up that 3-run home run. I will say that. The Mets starting pitching has had issues with walks for a long time now, and that's something that we can't have out of our ace, something we can't have out of Justin Verlander.
In
So I'm not
fairness,
going to
they
harp on
did
these.
work some good at bats. Like he was battling. They
Yeah,
just
it's the Rays.
they're
It's the Rays. It's
they're
the Rays.
good,
I
man.
get your point. I get your point. They're great in all facets. Gary Cohen today on the broadcast was throwing out just a bunch of statistics on the Rays. Their home runs hit to home run given up differential is the best in MLB history. They surpassed the Yankees. They got 83 home runs hit, only like 33 given up. That's the best ratio up until this point in the season in MLB history. They draw long at bats. They're not going to chase pitches out of the zone. Like you said, very reminiscent of the lineup of the Mets lineup last year. They're not going to chase pitches out of the zone. They're going to draw the walks when they can, and they're going to hurt you. Obviously, the Mets didn't hurt anybody with the long ball last year, but they're going to hurt you and hit balls in the gaps when when they are presented. And this team, the Rays, are going to put the ball over the fence. So you definitely can't make those extra mistakes. Just quickly, just going over this game before I just get into a little bit more of my spiel. I just want to shout out, obviously, Josh Walker. He got brought up today. He had his MLB debut, tossed a scoreless inning. And Pete Alonso got back on track with a home run. He's back in the Josh. He's back in the MLB lead, tied with Max Muncy for home runs, leads the league in RBIs as well. So hopefully he can get back, going. He had a great start, but he's been slumping a little bit. Marte didn't have a great game. Tommy Pham, I don't know what to say, man. Tommy Pham batted cleanup
Why is he
yesterday,
hitting fifth or
and he hit
cleanup?
fifth the next day. And I tossed it out there on a video. I didn't even mention it like on one of my videos on YouTube. I mentioned it just on Twitter. Eduardo Escobar has been killing left-handed pitching for the last 2 months consistently. And he's a much more competent hitter from the right side than he is the left side. He's hitting over 300. I think he's hitting over 330 against left-handed pitching over the last month or two. And so you're going to sit there and look at that if you're Buck Showalter and you're not going to toss him in the lineup with a lefty starting. I don't understand that. Guess what happened in the 9th inning, Nelson? Guess what happened? I'm not sure if you saw it.
Oh, I
A
saw it.
lefty was on the mound,
He hit a
and guess
homer.
what Eduardo Escobar does? He hits a home run. So I just expect a little bit more out of our veteran manager at this point. The Dominic Leone situation irked me in the National Series. I know we're here to talk about Mets Rays, but that irked me in the National Series. The Tommy Pham instances have irked me now. I said it also on my pregame live yesterday. I don't know if Buck Showalter is making these lineups to send a message to the front office. It could very well be that. I would hope that he's not going to play
What
around with his
message is he
job and
trying to
risk that.
send though? I don't get it.
Maybe he secretly does want the kids to get called up. Maybe he wants them to call up Gary Sanchez for him to DH. I don't know.
That's
I
what
don't
I
know
think.
what
I
he's
don't think he wants the kids up at all because he's proven he doesn't like them. I think he genuinely wants to see like Gary Sanchez and Danny Mendick and guys like that.
at this point. Are you really opposed to calling up Gary Sanchez at this rate?
I mean, he has an opt out of on the 19th, so they have to make a choice here soon.
Yeah, they
Um,
do. And obviously, Francisco Alvarez is not going anywhere. The catching situation is going to be a messy. That's where I don't envy the front office. It's a mess. This roster is a mess in terms of how to allocate the active positions on the roster. You got four catchers. Nito's coming back from the IL here soon. And I just don't know. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen on the catching position. You got Gary Sanchez's opt out coming into effect here soon. I think you said the 19th. Michael Perez went 4 for 4, scorched some balls in the first game of that Nationals doubleheader, and it's just ugly, man. I mean, Dominic Leone went out there again today, and he gave up a home run to Jose Siri,
Yo, didn't
almost
he complain
120.
his elbow hurt the other day and we're using him like every other day? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Matt. Matt. That's your boy Tomas Nito. He's gonna be coming back soon. I really don't know where he's gonna fit in here. Especially,
My boy, yeah,
I
no, Nito is not my boy. Keep him away, as he can be
keep him
blind wherever he needs to be. Just
keep him
go
away.
somewhere
Hey,
else.
you know what the best part of this game was, though? Do you want to know what the best part of this game was?
This
It
game,
was
what?
the best part of this game to me, which is really sad to say, but it was my favorite part of the game. It was when the scoreboard glitched with the Rays
Oh,
logo.
right there. That was ironic.
That was the best part of this game, in my humble opinion,
Yeah,
because
I know he didn't actually pay for that scoreboard. It's a sponsorship deal, but he really needs to get on the phone with who is it, Samsung or whoever the hell. That scoreboard sucks. It's a piece of
yeah,
trash. It glitches all the time. Like, what is he? What are they doing?
it's also a little bland, in my opinion. It's just like a big
It's
screen out in center
huge, but
field.
yeah. I mean, if you're gonna
I don't.
put that thing out there, it needs to work.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, obviously the back end of this rotation, we had Peterson put up a stinker yesterday. I
He
don't know what the
stinks.
the back end of the rotation is going to happen. There's nothing that the Mets can do to bolster this back end of the rotation right now. There's nothing that they can do. They're not going to trade this early on. We all know when the trade deadline comes about and they're looking to make additions, the Mets tax, the Steve Cohen tax is going to be put into effect. I said in my video, we discussed it offline as well. I mean, teams are going to be asking for Mauricio. They're going to be asking for Vientos at this point just to get something feasible in return. And it's going to be a situation where the Mets are going to have to decide again. We saw it last year. They were contenders last year. They decided to hold off because the Chicago Cubs wanted I don't even know who the Cubs were asking for, but the front office basically laughed at them to
I
say, "Hey,
think they
what can
wanted Ramirez. I want to say maybe
But yeah, they took what was his name? The center fielder that we gave up uh a couple of years ago, who's turning into a stud over there in the minor leagues.
Pete
The
Crow
left
Armstrong.
Yeah, Pete Crow Armstrong, PCR. They took him from us, and then they asked for Alex Ramirez last year. It's like it's going to be a never ending cycle, and that's just the curse that you have to live with when you have the richest owner in baseball and the highest payroll in baseball. That's what's going to
Yeah,
happen to you. So
I
I
think
don't know if you have any
a good
opinions.
GM can overcome that though. I just don't think Billy Epler is that good.
That's another discussion within itself as well. And I'm coming to that realization. I've laid off of Billy Epler as much as I could so far, but I'm coming to that realization that Steve Cohen is a businessman. He's still learning the ropes of how to own a baseball team and the business processes that go along with that. He
Mhm.
hired Billy Epler to be his right hand man, and I'm not sure if there's any justice happening with Billy Epler alongside Steve Cohen right now.
Well, in fairness to
So
Steve, that was like his fifth choice. But
yeah, that's also true. That's
I,
also true.
I don't know if you saw
We
that.
won't go down that road. We
Yeah,
won't
I
go
don't
down.
know. I don't know if you. Last thing on it. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the report though that came out that David Stearns is like almost a shoe in to take the job in the off season
The
as
Brewers
the
guy.
president. Yeah, which I don't know how realistic that is, but I mean, there's been a lot of smoke there for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, for the last couple of years too, I've heard his name been linked to the Mets as well. So
Yeah,
we'll
his
see what
contract is
happens.
finally up though, so now he can actually make the move.
Now he can. But I do agree. I mean, the reason why Billy Epler got brought in and why we thought that we'd have a run at Otani when Otani
Yeah,
hits
because
free
they have that
agency.
relationship.
They do, but the thing is now like we can get into Otani all we want to, but is he really going to want to make the move to the East Coast? Like, you know what I mean? Or is he really
Yeah,
set based on the reports, to stay out west? I mean, money talks for sure, but
yeah,
the thing is like think about it. If you're Otani and you're looking around the league at your options about who might sign you, and you're looking at what's going on in Queens with the fans booing this team and this team performing as poorly as they possibly can right now with this payroll, are you really going to want to join that team?
who knows? I mean, I honestly don't know. I know Senga's like one of his best friends. Epler does have that relationship. I think that's a conversation for another time. Um,
We could
it's
go down
just,
many loopholes
yeah,
with this live right here.
yeah. I just don't know what we can do to fix this team now. Like you said, the pitching's unfixable. Cookie Carrasco isn't going to be a savior. They said Quintana might be ramping up soon, but is he really going to make that much of a difference? I don't know.
No, he's not. No,
Um,
he's not. Not in my
and then
opinion.
in the minors, we don't really have anybody. Our best performer in the minors is Mike Vassell, and the Mets are very, very cautious with bringing guys up, and he's still in Double A. He hasn't even hit Triple A, so I don't
Quick
see them calling him up
Quick shout out to the Wilpons. Thank you for leaving the Mets and Steve Cohen with no
with
pitching
nothing.
problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely very appreciated. So shout out to Wilpons for that.
Well, we
Yeah,
had
that's
Matt Allen, but he ended up getting hurt like when Tommy John
yeah.
twice. We
Did you see the
drafted.
Kumar Rocker news?
I was
Did you
gonna
see the
say,
Kumar Rocker news?
we drafted Kumar Rocker, but we made the right move in not signing him. And I don't know, man. It's just nothing's worked out with it, which is ironic because the Mets have always been built on pitching and pitching prospects. Now we've got a lot of hitting prospects, but we have no pitchers. So
I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this once and for all. I think that the kids need to be brought up. I mean, Vientos struggled last year
they
as
do.
well, but the way they're performing in AAA and the way that the vets are performing right now, I mean, Mark Hanna had a great game in Washington in that second game of the doubleheader. Let's be honest, he's not going to provide this team any spark that they need. And then you look at Vogelback. I mean, what are we really getting out of him at the DH spot? This team, Lindor's not hitting that many home runs. I mean, I know he has the second most on the team if I'm speaking correctly, but
He does.
outside of Pete Alonso at 14 home runs and 30 plus RBIs, where is the power coming from? And why has this not been addressed already? It's you and I don't want to make a comparison to the Braves, but those guys can put the ball over the fence any day they want to. The Rays can do the same. That's why they're the best team in baseball. And something just has to give because that small ball lineup that won the Mets 101 games and also got them pretty much dominated against elite starting pitching in the playoffs with Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove shutting him out in game 1 and 3 last year. It's going to be the same exact thing. It's going to be the same exact thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, like I said, and like you, to your point, I'm not going to say that this team is completely lost yet. I said it in one of my videos. These next, I said 9 games, but now it's 8 after tonight's loss, are going to really reveal what this team's identity is moving into June. because we got the Guardians coming up and we got the Cubs after that.
Yeah.
So if we can salvage at least, I don't know, at this point, I'd be happy with 4-4 at the way things
Yeah.
are going.
Well, this is what I've said for a little while now. They have to stay. If the season's going to get salvaged at all, they have to stay afloat till July. They have to stay within a few games of the wild card till July, because they don't. They refuse to bring up the kids. I still don't see them doing it. I mean, maybe with a little more public pressure, they might cave, but I don't know, man. They seem stuck on just leaving those dudes to rot in the minors.
Well,
Which,
you know, Steve Cohen's feeling that pressure, though. You saw him interacting with the fans on
yeah,
social media.
I don't know. I hope it happens, but the longer it takes, I think I've told you this offline. The longer it takes, the more I think they're just trying to keep them to build value in the minors so they can trade them. Like, that's just my feeling. I hope I'm wrong, but that's how I feel about it. If they bring them up tomorrow, great. But it's just the longer they keep them down there, the more I'm like, well, what the hell are we doing? What's the point?
If they get desperate enough, I can definitely see them trading away these guys as well. But I mean, if I'm the Mets, I'm not trading Ronnie Mauricio at this point. He's proven. I mean, he's fixed something with his swing, and I think he can be a true home run threat in the major league level. Obviously, everyone wants to bring up his defense. The defense is my last concern at this point. We need hitting and we need power. And him being a lefty with those fences in right field at City Field, I need Ronnie Mauricio in the Mets organization. We can't
Yeah,
afford to trade him.
they should
Vientos is
just.
a little bit a different story. I think Vientos is expendable. I don't think Ronnie Mauricio should be expendable. I don't think he should be traded.
I think they should both get a shot, and now's the time to do it. The team's stuck in this rut. You have to try something. You have to. You can't just keep rolling the same bums out there and expecting something different. It's not working.
Quick stat for you. Gary Cohen mentioned on the broadcast today the Mets out of 43 games, 31 of those 43 games, the starting pitcher has gone 5 innings pitched or less.
Yeah, and that's
So,
the thing. The pitching is just as big a problem, if not bigger. But we know that we can't fix the pitching. The hitting we can do. Um, Matt says small ball can win, but you need to get on base for small ball. Exactly. We're not getting. That's the thing. We threw out our philosophy from last year. Last year we were working counts, getting on base. Now it's like we're not doing that, and we're not hitting the homers. So what? We're not doing anything.
yeah, and it's just been ugly baseball. Like I said, there's going to be, Buck Showalter and Billy Epler, rest assured, are going to be facing some tough questions from Steve Cohen coming up soon. A lot of fans. We got some guys in the chat that I was monitoring who were at the game. Keith was at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Basically just saying that fans were starting to pile out of there in the middle innings. Obviously, we heard the boo birds. I could hear it on my broadcast.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
why
just not
wouldn't you
something.
leave? What's the point of staying?
I mean, I don't know at this point. I don't know why you would stay, really. It doesn't, but that's not fun for the players, though. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, I guess who cares because they're professional athletes and they should be performing anyways. But I mean, it's just it's a tough market to play in. The New York market is a tough market to play in.
It's not a joke. You know they're not having fun.
No, not at all. I mean, just losing by itself is not having fun. Add in the pressure of the fans who are supposed to be, backing you. Now they're booing you. That's definitely not fun. So I can't blame the fans though, because the fans want to see a winning product. They are excited about the team spending money, and obviously highest payroll in baseball. Can you really blame the fans? I can't.
Nope.
So I don't know. We got some stuff to figure out for sure. Right now, the Mets aren't contenders in my eyes at this point in time. Do I think they can turn it around? Do I think the roster has enough talent to get by and push them into that threshold of making a deep playoff run if things turn around here soon? Yeah, I think it's feasible and I think it's still possible. Am I going to throw out this entire season based off of what I've seen the last 2 weeks? No, but there's a point where you are not going to be able to say it's only April, right? Now we're saying it's only May. Well, at some point it's going to be June. You can't say it's only May. So like you just said, we got to stay afloat until July, at least keep it respectable, keep the division respectable. definitely keep the wild card respectable because
Yeah, I'm not even worried about. To be honest, I'm not worried about the division. I mean, maybe we can make a run, but I just stay in the wild card race and see what happens. That's where I'm at with it.
I feel you. I feel you. I mean, I would disagree in terms of at least it's not necessary to your point, but with the expectations that were set with the payroll and with what Cohen was saying, the front office was saying to us, I just would have liked them to see them make a run at the division. I know last year was a dagger in many Mets fans' hearts. It was a dagger in mine. And
See,
I mean, I get it though. It's not necessary. The Phillies
yeah,
went all the way to the World Series out of the wild card spot. Strange things happen in baseball all the time. I get it. I get
but
it.
this is why I got so frustrated with Mets fans last year. Is that there were so many Met fans that wouldn't just enjoy the run we were on, and they were just constantly looking over their shoulders and constantly the sky is falling, even though we're winning 100 games. It's like, yeah, that 100 games didn't get us anything, but still, it was a fun season. Like now, look what we got. So you compare the two, and it's like, don't you wish we were playing like we played last year? Like, so if you go back and look at it, it's like maybe you should have tried to enjoy last year a little more instead of moaning and groaning over. It was just random things, but yeah, it was just frustrating last year as to see so many fans still poo-poo what they were doing, even though they had a pretty damn good season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I mean, I was definitely one of those fans when the Braves cut it to like 5.5. I was like, all right, here we go again. And I really couldn't sit back and just enjoy it until I just knew the Braves were just gonna take the division. And at that point, I was like, all right, we made the playoffs, successful season, whatever have you. But I was one of those fans who definitely didn't enjoy it just because I was looking over my back. I tried to learn from that, like you said, and bring a new perspective into this season, but we're seeing how it's turning out now. So you're definitely right in that regard. One question I want to ask you is where do you think the Mets move? Where do you think the Mets go forward here? I was kind of getting a little bit of your opinions when James, shout out James, you went on his live yesterday and he kind of asked you a similar question. I mean, seems like you want the kids to come up, Mauricio and Vientos, but you're not convinced that they will. So you really think that they're going to go keep losing games, and then they're just going to try to plug and play with a guy like Danny Mendick or someone has more veteran presence in the minors?
I feel like it. I don't want it to be the case. I really don't. I want Mauricio and Vientos up. I just feel like they're just going to try to make little moves like Sanchez, Mendick, screw around with the lineup, just try to stay afloat until they can hopefully make a move at the deadline. Like I feel like that's their goal at this point. I hope it's not, but it just feels that way. And I don't know, maybe things change. Maybe they go on a run and something, or maybe they just keep losing game after game and decide, all right, we got to do something drastic. But I don't know. It all depends on how they play here the next few weeks. But for right now, I just don't see them coming up.
Well, I said it to you as well, and I said, listen, one winning streak changes the whole narrative
Yeah,
of the naysayers over the past 2 weeks. And that's what people don't realize when they spread this rhetoric and these narratives on Twitter, these negative narratives. And trust me, there's a lot to be negative about right now. But be careful what you say because one winning
mm-hmm.
streak will have you looking silly.
That,
And we
yeah,
all know when the tide shifts, and I think eventually it's going to shift the Mets' way. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot of receipts that are kept on Twitter, and I know that for a fact. So I'm not going to be one of those guys who sits here and tries to be all negative Nancy all the time. There's going to be receipts kept, and one winning streak changes it all, and we can be right back in the division for a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And
That's the thing. That's
it's
why
just
I try to stay like even keel with it because if you go crazy and go out ranting and raving and fire Buck and fire Epler and just going nuts on Twitter over just crazy stuff, like some of the things, some of these guys don't deserve the comments they get. Like I get booing some dudes or whatnot, but some of the things I see is like ridiculous, way over the top, and it's like
well,
you're
it's just for
doing
interactions. It's just for
Yeah, yeah,
direction.
they're looking for it's clickbait, but at the same time, it's like, come on, like you be better, like just be
Yeah.
better.
I mean, that's all sports fandom. I mean, the Knicks have the same sort of, people in their
But that's
fan
the
base
thing.
as
I was
well.
really hoping Mets Twitter wouldn't just get turn into Knicks Twitter, and it pretty much has,
It
and
has.
it sucks to see because Knicks Twitter is crazy toxic, but Mets Twitter is the same now. So
Well, I mean, like I said, I definitely am trying to keep myself and hold myself to a different philosophy than last year. Like I said, I was pretty negative last year in terms of when the division lead started to slip away. I'm definitely trying to practice a different approach here. I'm trying to enjoy baseball games because the way that I was watching baseball last year was not enjoyable in terms of just that sense of worry of like when, like I know the Braves are going to overtake us, but when's it going to happen? And this year, it's like I mean, it's just kind of, everything is out of any fan's hands. So it's not like that anything
mm-hmm.
that they're going to say is going to change the trajectory of this team. Um, but
Yeah,
so, I mean, we'll see what happens. But to your point, though, if the Mets do keep losing, say that the tides don't change, do you? I mean, obviously, the questions are going to, like I just said, are going to start flowing down to Billy Epler and Buck Showalter. Hypothetically, when would be a time when a move just needs to happen in terms of firing? Like, what's the timeline?
I honestly don't see them unless I mean, if it gets totally out of hand and they're like 10, 15, 20 games under 500 and completely out of it, then maybe I could see them firing Epler or Buck. But more than likely, I think they're going to ride it out with them to the end of the season, regardless. And then if they can bring in Stearns, maybe then he can make the choice whether he wants to keep them or what. But I think right now the goal is to just ride this out and see where the chips fall.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's going to be hard, though. I mean, the rotation it's going to have to start with the rotation. It really is. We can
Yeah,
talk about the offensive inconsistencies all we want, but if we had if we have games like this where our starting pitcher's given up 6 runs, which has been happening a little bit, too often, for my comfort level, you got to keep the at least the offense in the game.
if you
And
can
then
get the three top guys to pitch to their capability, then we'll be okay. We're going to find a way to scrape across some runs and we'll win some games. But if they're going to keep pitching like they have been and giving up, falling behind every game pretty much, and just we're always trying to claw back, that's a recipe for disaster. Like, especially when the offense isn't good.
agreed. And I mean, I guess before we close out this live, I'm not sure if you have anything else to say. I guess my only point that I will say is that I really just like all of the talent and the players' performance aside, I really want to just see Buck Showalter make some more sound decisions out there. I get what he's doing with the lineup. He's trying to make things work. Tommy Pham is not a cleanup hitter. He's not a 5 hitter. He's not a starter. Um, I know that the Mets managers in the past, and it seems like Buck Showalter is following suit, loves to play the analytical game when he makes these lineups. I'm not sure why Tommy Pham was in the game today. I know it was a lefty righty matchup. I didn't take a look at
Dude, he was
the
2 for 3
differences.
off. He was 2 for 3 for his career off of that. Whoever that dude was, like that's I think
And
literally the only reason.
And so that's so in my mind, if that's a justification of why he's getting the start at the DH spot over a guy like Eduardo Escobar, who has been hitting lefties consistently over the last few months, regardless of what his career numbers are against this guy that started for the Rays. I you as a veteran player or as a veteran manager, I should say, sorry for misspeaking, and for a manager who's expected to make those sort of on the fly adjustments in season, that's just got to be better in my opinion. But I'll rest my case. I'll see how Buck
I
Showalter
don't know what happened.
finishes. Yeah, you left for a little bit, but
Yeah,
I held the fort down. I kept going. I closed
appreciate
out
it.
my point. Like I said, Buck Showalter. If you didn't hear it, I just need to see him make some more sound decisions. He's a veteran manager. He's was brought in to sort of make those in season adjustments. And certainly the lineup is no exception. So just want to see him manage the bullpen a little bit better. not look forward to the next game to try to preserve the bullpen for the current game where it might backfire. Win the game that you're in that day, make some smart lineup adjustments. Eduardo Escobar, like today, should have been playing. But I'm not going to keep harping on that. We'll see what happens. If you want to close this thing out for us, it's been a great live. We talked about a lot, not just this game, but we talked about a lot. I'm definitely happy we got it in.
Yeah, that's usually the case with our post games. But there is a lot to talk about. It's hard to just talk about the game, especially when the game is kind of a dud. So it'd be different if we like came back and won the game or something. Then there'd be a lot to talk about. But didn't happen. I appreciate you coming on. If you haven't already, subscribe to Chris's YouTube at the WTS Pod. It's right there, scrolling down below, and follow him on Twitter as well. Same handle. And then subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, at Amish Country Met Fan. My Twitter is at Amish Country Met. We're pumping out content every day. So, and Chris isn't just Mets content. If you're a Knicks fan, Rangers fan, Giants fan, he's got stuff for you there. I'm all Mets, so I'm the Met guy. If you're just looking for Mets,
New York sports for me. Knicks fans are welcome. Anybody who roots for New York sports is welcome on my channel.
Yeah, I'm always on his channel looking for other information on my other teams. So, and yeah, man, we'll be definitely doing more of these and collabing some more. I like to do stuff with other people. It's a little boring doing it all by yourself. So good to have somebody to bounce things off of.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to do a post game with you, to do any sort of content with you. I definitely appreciate it. And we got a late comment in here as we're sort of wrapping this thing up.
Trash.
We go ahead and just check out this entire live. We delved into all
go
that
back and talked about it. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on and watching, though. That's actually a Facebook comment. So shout out Facebook fans. And who else was in here today? Matt. Shout out Matt, Jesse, Josh, the Rockies correspondent, all the boys for supporting. So appreciate all of you. Let's go Mets, and we'll see you guys later.